A mouse crawled through the hole in a wall. What kept him warm and fed was to be his death, for the play of cats or time. Winter brought the family poetry of the harvest. Spring, songs of the old field. Summer, the play of memories before, and fall, the namesake of life's end. And those small tales, it's those small tales we are most interested in, that we are all most afraid of. Those kept under the kitchen cupboard or hanging in the closet. Those left for books unbounded. Those truths of common, extraordinary people in everyday life. When you find the day in the morning's errand, or in the evening meal, the back porch, or in the death mask of dreams, will tell you the story of my life, where you find the day. Art is the most common thing on earth, and in my time, I was everywhere. I was the man on the news channel speaking to the weekend, the woman in the woods behind the wheel, the newspaper boy on the cycle of the American soul, the framed painting that you became, the post, or the cost of utopian daydreams. So begun the game of my life, the only chance I had in reality to stand for something, but I chose something much more interesting, and that was my own fault. I stood and stand for nothing, for nobody, for no one. For the man in the bookstore reading me, for the President of America, for the executioner who pulls the lever of ash as the bureaucrat of death, and for the words of either of us, it won't mean anything to anybody ever again. I found out the truth on the road today. A poet usually knows better than to trust his hard-earned genius, but instead to stake his life by his God-given gut stupidity. And they say that without guts you'll never make it, and maybe they're right. But you wouldn't know the difference when history's on the line and you just picked up the phone. But would you know the difference when history's on the line and you just picked up the phone? You can look up a local carpenter, a banker, a farmer, and change the world. But nobody does. No one. I used to think it took more than what I had. And now I'm convinced I made a mistake in becoming the most skilled polymath in human history. I could have made more money with a grocery store job, or found love by just going outside more often. I could have moved to Paris at 25 if I just fucking did either of those things. I could have traveled the nation in my tiny car by the guard of cats, living town to town a few years, working when the money was slotted lost, and becoming the poet of our mirror in time. But I didn't. I chose everlasting fame and infamy at every edge. But what hope comes to me every day. But hope comes to me every day from ordinary people. Hope that I might find a way so that one day I could be anyone alone and before the canvas. The Internet's closet. It might not seem much to any millionaire, company, politician, father, and friend, But $3,000 and a connection to the internet can change billions of everyday lives. Fuck you. A piece of paper and a borrowed pen at a diner in place of money could change the legacy of a town forever. A pawn shop banjo and an afternoon alone will define music for a nation. A tube of paint and an old door or unwatched wall so doth poeticize the destiny of 1,000 years in art history. A library can educate the world to any or every end humanly toiled, but here we are, repeating the mistakes of writers we steal from without even the gall to burn their books in public. No. I mean, what is a bit of makeup, a mask, some blood and lies in the nonfiction section? Well, if you ask a historian, they'll tell you it's reality. It's the truest thing we have. Behind closed doors, when the fucking restaurant closes and the chefs sit contemplating walking the rail lines, when the dreams of our fathers come to pass, the desk of novelists, and when we open our closets and discover who we are, there will be the artifact of our imagination and the only truth history respects. So that's part 2. This is Why Run Today. It's called Poetry, kid. If you can't wait for a better story, it's the only truth in love and war. It's why we write on tombstones. It's why we call dreams inspirational. It's why people spend their entire lives making money. It's why you won't get up and leave for what you know is better truth. And every single day, if you would just let yourself know better. It's the biology of hair and tears. It's the reality of our imagination. It's the contract of nations and the metaphysics of death. It's the only thing left in the library after the printing presses run out of ink or perish from that same fire, that only fire that exists. But you don't know better. You're old like I am when I read these truths of youth. You're damaged like I have been, molested, drugged, and abated. You're an artist in a world that never cared and never should, because love is a poison to the human conditioning. You're ruined, retarded, redocilated. You're delinquent, delicate, defunct, doomed. You're erupted, entangled, ill-elocuted, and yawn-marine. You're lost because you won't pick up your day and be who you don't know how to be or even deserve to be. The only pair left. When plums fall on the sidewalk, the owner chooses if they stay in the city. When people die, they are avoided forevermore, put behind the fence and in a garden no man would dare to harvest. When we meet our neighbors after years of avoiding them, we say hello, as if the most common words in the dictionary justify our ignorance. When paintings burn in the theater of the future, what is left of historic toil? When books find the last pages turned to final time, is the reconciliation forevermore? When the poems are known as the tomb of man, will I be carved upon the stones of earth, or cast to sea, left for any afraid? When a man works a midnight shift for a month, he knows which item he is forevermore. He knows by instinct what abstraction defines his soul, the food of thought, that fruit of gods and mortal men alike, that plastic prismed processed pear that is left untouched by any other to the standard that it deserves, said harvest. Right truth, blooming at peak youth, zenith, or uncouth. I was the O2C, hardy, 100 years old, deeper than me, a bag full of full, true, starch-free, but others are more or less at best unrepressed, flesh cashier to undress, and in times unharvested, will the last pair be left alone to become its namesake, earth paired. The paper mache generation. When the last bit of the moon is not graffitied by $15 lasers from Amazon by a generation with an internet connection and a place to hide the solar panel. When the last high fashion company folds under the weight of common truth and the historic house painter's blue jeans. When the last garage in America is abandoned to the game. When the last paper money is turned into an NFT and the last ounce of gold is dissolved for electronics. When the last company selling white toilet paper for poets of pure objectivity is allowed to be called what it is historically. When the last toy shop on earth caves to the locals with a 3D printer. When the last politician without a resident poet falls to their knees and begs for historic recognition. When the last factory worker is equipped with AR glasses to watch the world play and to bid upon it with ethos as valuable as money. When the last billionaire surrenders his hoard because we won't let him play. When the last poet of the paper mache generation perishes by the symbolic phoenix of arts and crafts, we will know something better than not before. The last ounce of blood and silver. The weight of a man by salt, not silver, is the weight of justice in society. If all it took was a game, something like a masterpiece, something written by opening the libraries at night, doesn't anyone think we would have had peace 3,000 years ago? Feudalism is not your state of mind, nor is it your financial situation. No, there is something deeper. Something more fashionable in the way you open me. Something more ancient in the placard of truth the reader smells in the objectivity of this or any book. There is a story, a fabric of a different binding which cloths the actors of the stage. Be the world at play with morality, with the finality of twilight. And know not the stage or zoo, but your neighbor's the same. What role is set for you? By what writer of history? By what director of some social politics? What poet inspired you to audition to be here, reading the next lines? And for what audience? What night is tonight? What vein of the revolutionary? A revolution is currency for the way. What critics have we all feared in the crowd? Silent phantoms of your opera. Sitting at the window ledging above the city, I know the memories of Babylon. The rich man, once in my place, thousands of years ago, who sat wondering about the book that could do it. The writer of some standard or another, as he sat, as I do here and now, dreaming about the mystery between us. Not about science or religion or math or poetry, but the civics of it all. What it takes to get the last ounce of blood out of the silver. When nothing is said to have been done for by slaves, the game is up, dear Watson. The light bulbs bloom to the harvest of young women and men. The music speaks of that present once and finally past. Photography captures the light unnoticed called humanity, and the poets weep but not for death or for life, but for the color of fire squandered. But there's one more. To just cause, the just effect. Oysters and beer justify an afternoon alone. A junkyard justifies the lack of community in all for us together. The community application a vocation is unjustified in the market because in 5,000 years either nobody wanted to do it at all, or more likely we all did but never would for a reason justifiable by nothing except the status quo.